You've been lied to. For generations, a terrifying lie has turned well-meaning rescuers into accidental jawbreakers. Picture this: someone collapses, convulsing, and the immediate panicked reaction is always the same. Quick! They're swallowing their tongue, get something in their mouth. Wallets, spoons, desperate fingers. Stop. Right now. You are the biggest threat in that room. Here's the truth. Your tongue is literally bolted to the floor of your mouth by a biological anchor called the frenulum, stronger than steel cable. Trying to swallow your tongue is like trying to swallow your own knee while it's still attached. Impossible. This 200-year-old myth has shattered more teeth than a hockey fight and caused untold harm. It's time to expose the myths that are literally breaking jaws. And speaking of jaws, let's tackle the scariest one first, the deadly tongue-swallowing lie. Imagine this: someone falls down and their body starts shaking. Everyone panics. They shout, "Quick, she's swallowing her tongue!" And suddenly, people are trying to shove wallets, spoons, or even their fingers into the person's mouth. Stop right there. If you ever do this, you might actually be making things much worse than you realize. Here's the super cool truth: your tongue is actually like super glue to the bottom of your mouth. There's a strong little string called the frenulum that holds it tight. Think of it like an anchor that's stronger than a super thick rope of steel. It's biologically impossible to swallow your own tongue. Seriously, try it right now. Try to swallow your own knee while it's still attached to your leg. You can't. Right. Swallowing your tongue is just as impossible. When someone has a seizure, their muscles go all jumbly, and yes, even their tongue might roll back a little, but it can't actually go down your throat. Your body is way too smart to be designed like that. This myth is super old, like 200 years old, and it has caused so much harm. People trying to help have actually broken more teeth than a hockey game. They turn into accidental jaw breakers. Every time someone shoves something into a seizing person's mouth, a dentist somewhere probably gets excited because they know they'll have lots of work to do, maybe even get a new yacht. So, what should you do if you see someone having a seizure? It's ridiculously simple. First, clear the area around them so they don't hit anything sharp or hard. Second, gently put something soft under the head, like a jacket or a small pillow, to cushion it. That's it. No need to be a mouth-diving hero. Just make sure they're safe and comfortable until they feel better. Alright, let's move on from the scary tongue talk to something a lot of grown-ups probably scold you for. Number 8. The knuckle-cracking arthritis apocalypse. Has your mom ever warned you? Stop cracking your knuckles, you'll get arthritis when you're older, and your teacher probably told you the same thing, right? Well, guess what? That's another big, old myth. There was this super cool and slightly crazy doctor named Dr. Donalder. He heard this myth and thought, challenge accepted. This awesome scientist decided to do an experiment for 60 years. Yes, 60 whole years. That's like forever. Every single day, he cracked the knuckles on only his left hand. His right hand, he left it completely alone. No cracking at all. For 900 days, he kept cracking one hand and not the other. After 6 whole decades, he finally compared both of his hands. And guess what the big result was? Absolutely no arthritis, no damage, and no difference between the two hands. So, all those warnings from grown-ups, not true. So, if it's not bones grinding, what's that super satisfying pop sound when you crack your knuckles? It's actually pretty simple and a little like magic inside your joints, where your bones meet. There's a special slippery liquid called synovial fluid. This fluid has tiny gas bubbles dissolved in it, kind of like the bubbles in soda pop. When you pull or bend your fingers, you create a little bit of extra space inside the joint. This makes the pressure drop, and bam, those tiny gas bubbles pop super quickly. You're literally just popping little internal bubble wrap inside your fingers. That's it. Your bones aren't breaking, and your cartilage, which is the soft stuff between your bones, isn't crumbling away. You're just making tiny, bubbly fireworks in your finger juice. After you crack a knuckle, you usually have to wait about 20 minutes before you can crack it again. That's because your body needs time for those gases to dissolve back into the fluid. It's like your body needs to reload its bubble gun. The only real downsides of cracking your knuckles are that it might annoy everyone around you, especially if you do it all the time, and maybe, just maybe, make your grip a tiny bit weaker if you go totally wild with it. But arthritis, nope. That myth needs its own joints cracked. Okay, we've cracked the case on knuckle popping, but here's another scary warning you've probably heard a million times. especially from grown-ups. Number 7, the rusty nail tetanus terror. Don't step on that rusty nail, you'll get tetanus. Your parents have probably yelled that at you. Right, or maybe your grandma said it. Well, get ready for another mind-blowing fact that will completely change how you look at rusty things. Rust has absolutely nothing to do with tetanus. Zero zilch, nada. You've been fearing the wrong villain this whole time. The real bad guy is a super tiny, microscopic serial killer called Clostridium tetani. And guess what? These little bacterial mischief makers don't live on rust at all. They love to hang out in dirt, soil, and even animal poop. They're literally everywhere, probably having tiny underground dance parties in your garden right now. So, why does everyone blame rust? It's pretty simple. Rusty objects are usually rusty because they've been sitting outside in the dirt where our actual bad guys, the tetanus bacteria, live. The rust isn't the problem, it's just like their personal Uber ride, helping them get into your body if you step on it. The rust itself is totally innocent, it just chooses bad friends. Think about it, a shiny, brand new surgical steel nail, fresh from the factory, but rolled in dirty garden soil. Way more dangerous than an old, rusty nail that's been sitting safely in your super clean garage for years. So, your risk of getting tetanus has nothing to do with how rusty something is, and everything to do with where it's been. Location. These tiny bacteria are like oxygen haters, kind of like vampires hating sunlight. That's why they absolutely love deep puncture wounds. It's their perfect, cozy, oxygen-free hideout. Once they get inside, they throw the worst party ever in your nervous system, releasing toxins that make your muscles lock up tighter than a bank vault. That's why it's called lockjaw. Your jaw literally locks shut. The super simple fix: just make sure your tetanus shots are always updated. Those dirt-dwelling party crashers don't care if the object that poked you was rusty, shiny, or even bedazzled with diamonds. They just want in. Alright, speaking of well-meaning but totally wrong advice, here's one that probably makes you feel a little sad. But don't worry, we're about to fix it. Number 6, the baby bird abandonment scam that's killing innocent chicks. You're walking in the park, and you see a tiny baby bird. Maybe it fell out of its nest. Your brain immediately screams, "Don't touch it, don't you dare," because you've probably heard that. If you touch a baby bird, its mom will smell your human scent and abandon it forever. Sounds super sad. Right. Well, guess what? Totally, completely, absolutely wrong. This is one of those myths that's just plain silly. Most birds have the smell detection abilities of, get this, a brick, yep, a plain old brick. Their noses are basically just for decoration. Seriously, you could marinate that little baby bird in your dad's cologne, roll it around in garlic butter yum, and then dip it in your grandma's strongest perfume, and its mom wouldn't even notice a thing. Why? Because birds recognize their babies through what they see and what they hear, not by how they smell. Your human scent is completely invisible to them, so a lot of people find these little fallen chicks and just leave them there, thinking they're helping. Meanwhile, up in the sky, mom bird is probably circling around, watching her baby wobble and wondering, why won't these giant hairless apes just put my kid back? The truth is, those little birds sprawled on the ground aren't actually orphans. Most of the time, they're just like little teenagers in flight school. They're literally supposed to be there, awkwardly hopping around and learning how to fly, kind of like when you first learned to ride a bike and wobbled all over the place. The real danger isn't your touch, it's things like hungry cats, curious dogs, and yes, sometimes even well-meaning humans who think leaving a baby bird on the ground is somehow helpful when it's just making them easy targets. So, next time you spot a fallen baby bird, don't just leave it to struggle, you're actually witnessing nature's most awkward driving lesson. And yes, you absolutely can help. If you see a baby bird that looks okay, gently pick it up and try to put it back in its nest. If you can't find the nest, just place it on a safe, high branch where cats and dogs can't reach it. Mom bird will find it by sight and sound, no problem. Alright, speaking of things we think are dangerous to touch, but really aren't, let's talk about something a bit scarier, but also totally misunderstood. Number 5, the sleepwalker heart attack horror story. Have you ever heard someone whisper, "Never wake a sleepwalker, their heart will explode, they'll have a stroke, their soul will get lost"? Maybe your grandma or an older cousin told you that. Well, guess what? Literally none of that is real. It's like a spooky Halloween story that isn't actually true. Waking someone who's sleepwalking is about as dangerous as waking your brother or sister up from a really deep nap. The absolute worst thing that might happen, they'll be a little bit confused, maybe a little grumpy, like when you're woken up before your favorite cartoon starts. But here's the real scary part, and it's not about waking them up. The real danger is letting them just wander around all by themselves. Imagine this, your friend who's sleepwalking isn't peacefully walking through a magical dreamland. Oh no, their brain is only working on 10% battery, like a phone about to die. They might be stumbling through your actual kitchen, where there are actual knives. They might suddenly decide, hey, it's sandwich time, and now they're holding a big butcher knife while basically still asleep. Think about it. They could accidentally walk right into the street where cars are driving, or trip and fall down the stairs. They might even try to make pancakes and accidentally start a fire because they're not really paying attention. That is your actual nightmare scenario, not their heart exploding. This old myth probably started way back in medieval times. People used to think that when someone sleepwalked, their soul was literally taking a midnight joyride, like their spirit just decided to go exploring while your body stayed home. So, waking them up meant trapping their soul outside their body. Sounds pretty dramatic, right? But it's just a story. So, next time you see someone sleepwalking, don't panic. It's much safer to gently guide them back to their bed. If you need to wake them up to keep them safe, it's totally okay to do so. A little confusion is way better than them accidentally walking into a wall or trying to cook with a butcher knife. Alright, speaking of things that seem super scary but aren't really, let's talk about some creepy crawlies. Have you ever heard about the daddy longlegs and how they're supposedly the most poisonous spiders in the whole wide world? The grown-ups might whisper that their fangs are too tiny to bite you, but if they could, we'd all be in big trouble. This sounds like a plot from a spooky movie. Right, but guess what? This whole story is about as true as a unicorn riding a skateboard. Number 4, the daddy longlegs venom conspiracy. This is wrong on so many levels. It's like a skyscraper built of silly stories. First off, daddy longlegs isn't even just one kind of animal. It's actually a nickname people use for 3 completely different creatures that just happen to look a bit similar. Like they all decided to wear the same long-legged costume for Halloween. Let's meet these mystery creatures. First, there's the harvestman nest. This isn't even a spider. It's a different kind of arachnid. And guess what? It has absolutely 0 venom glands. None. This little guy is as deadly as a cotton ball soaked in baby tears. Seriously, it couldn't poison you even if it took a year of ninja training to try. Next up, we have the cellar spider. Okay, this one is an actual spider, so it does have a tiny bit of venom, but it's like bringing a water pistol to a huge water balloon fight. Its venom is super weak and only designed to paralyze teeny tiny insects. Trying to hurt a human with a cellar spider's venom would be like trying to knock down a giant skyscraper with a rubber hammer. It just doesn't work. And finally, we have the crane fly. These are those big, clumsy, mosquito-looking bugs that sometimes fly into your lights at night. They're definitely not spiders. Most of them don't even have working mouths to eat anything. They're basically just born, find a friend, and then they're gone. They couldn't possibly hurt you, even if they wanted to, so there you have it. 3 different creatures, all sometimes called daddy longlegs, and not a single one of them has deadly venom for humans. They've managed to convince almost the whole planet that they're these secret ninja assassins, just waiting for bigger fangs. Honestly, they should win a Nobel Prize for marketing, because they've got everyone fooled. Alright, speaking of things that have fooled us all, let's dive into the ocean for our next myth. Number 3, the big, scary story that sharks will die if they ever stop swimming. You've probably seen it in movies or nature shows, where sharks are always zooming around like they're cursed to swim forever, or they'll just, poof, drop dead. Sounds super intense, right. But guess what? Most sharks are actually pretty chill and can stop whenever they want to. It's true that a few super speedy sharks, like the famous great whites and the super fast mako sharks, really do need to keep moving to breathe. Think of them as the CrossFit addicts of the ocean. They need water to constantly flow over their gills, so it's swim or suffocate for them. They're always on that cardio grind. But here's the cool secret about most other sharks. They have their own built-in scuba gear. They have special muscles in their cheeks that can pump water over their gills even when they're completely still. This means they can just park themselves on the ocean floor and, I don't know, binge watch the ocean's version of Netflix, some sharks, like nurse sharks. Even sleep in big cuddly piles, just like underwater puppies. Others like to bury themselves partly in the sand for a quick nap. And angel sharks. They're basically like living ocean carpets that barely move for hours. So why did we ever think all sharks had to keep swimming? Probably because those nature documentaries love to film the super athletic, fast-moving sharks. It's kind of like only watching the Olympics and then assuming all humans run marathons. But really, most sharks are more like couch potatoes who enjoy a good lie down. So no, most sharks won't just sleep with the fishes if they decide to take a break. Okay, so we've learned that most sharks are lazy couch potatoes, not constantly swimming athletes. Now, let's talk about something that's been chilling in old buildings for centuries and sparking another super persistent myth: old window glass. Have you ever walked into an old church or an ancient house and noticed how the window panes look a bit wavy and maybe even thicker at the bottom? Someone probably leaned in and whispered, "See? That's because glass is actually a super slow liquid. It's been oozing downwards for hundreds of years, like the world's slowest honey drip." Sounds pretty cool, right? Like glass is a secret, super sluggish river. But hold up, science class to the rescue. This idea makes physicists everywhere do a face palm. Glass is actually what we call an amorphous solid. And amorphous solid basically means it's a solid, yes, full stop. It's not a liquid, not kind of a liquid, not liquid on super duper long time scales. It's a solid, just like your desk or your phone screen. If glass really flowed like a liquid over centuries, imagine what medieval windows would look like by now. They'd be all drippy and weird, like paintings by a very confused artist named Salvador Dali, not just a little wavy. So, if it's not melting, why are old windows thicker at the bottom? Well, let's travel back in time to a medieval glassmaker's workshop. No fancy machines, no super precise tools, just a lot of fire, sand, and elbow grease. They'd heat the glass until it was all gooey and molten, then spin it into massive flat discs. Think of it like the world's most dangerous, glowing pizza toss. Naturally, when you spin something like that, the edges of the disc would end up a bit thicker than the center. That's just how physics works. Then, when they cut these big discs into smaller panes for windows, they had a choice: put the thicker, heavier part at the top or at the bottom. And since medieval builders weren't exactly trying to defy gravity, they put the heavy, thick end at the bottom. Why? Because that's where gravity wants it to be, and it makes the window more stable. It's pretty basic engineering, really. Just like asking why they built pyramids with the wide part down, it just makes sense. So, no melting glass, just some smart old school builders. So, medieval builders were pretty smart, just using gravity to make their windows strong. No magic melting glass there. Speaking of things people think are magical but are really just clever engineering or biology, let's dive into our number one myth. And it's a big one that's been around for centuries: the great camel hump water myth. For as long as anyone can remember, people have pictured camels as these amazing desert ships carrying built-in water coolers on their backs. Those iconic humps, they're supposed to be packed full of refreshing H2O. Right. Well, get ready for a desert shocker, because those humps contain exactly zero water, not a single drop, not a splash. Instead of water, those humps are giant lumps of pure fat. We're talking up to 80 pounds of fat in each hump. That's like a small person made entirely of butter riding on their back. It sounds weird, but it's super smart. When food gets scarce in the harsh desert, camels tap into these fat reserves like a biological snack machine. It's their emergency food supply. As they burn through this fat for energy, their humps literally deflate and flop over, looking like sad party balloons. But here's the really cool part: when a camel's body breaks down this fat for energy, it actually produces water as a waste product. It's like magic. The fat transforms into H2O through a process called metabolic magic. So, they're not storing water in the humps, but the humps help them make water when they need it most. It's like having a butter-powered water factory inside their body. So, if the humps aren't for water, where do camels store all that liquid? The real water storage happens everywhere else in their body, in their bloodstream and tissues. When camels finally find water, they go hard. We're talking drinking up to 30 gallons, that's about 115 liters in just 13 minutes. To handle all that water, their red blood cells are like special biological water balloons that can swell to twice their normal size without exploding. Now, that's some clever desert survival. Who knew our world was full of such chill, yet utterly mind-bending truths? It's wild how much cool stuff is hiding in plain sight, isn't it? Now, I'm curious. Let us know in the comments below which fact surprised you the most. That's all for this time. Stay curious. See ya.